My name is Eunice Akoth. I'm 16 years old. I was born on 16th of November 2002. I'm a rising sophomore, meaning I'm going to be a Form 2 at Miss Porter's, which is in Farmington, Connecticut. I was born and raised in the slums of Nairobi, Kibera, and this has been my home ever since. I come from a family of 6, so I have 2 sisters and 1 brother, then both my dad and my mom. So I have an elder sister who's married and living in Mombasa, then I have an older brother who's also married and living here in Kibera. Then my younger sister who's in class 1 right now. And yeah, so growing up in Kibera hasn't been the easiest or the nicest thing that has ever happened to anybody or any person living in the slums. So before I joined Shining Hope for Communities, I never went to school because I never got the chance to get that quality of education. Both my parents didn't really have a good job. They had a job of hands to mouth, and they really worked hard because they were able to take my elder sister to school, but she dropped out after grade 8. And then my brother went to school, and he's the only one who finished high school. And then I was at home helping my mom here and there. I feel like sometimes I say that I was like the second house help because I was always helping my mom here and there, doing stuff in the house, cleaning and all that stuff. So I was just at home, and yeah.
Eunice Akoth is one student that has proved to many that life in Kibera does not only comprise of the poor, but also harbor rich and great minds, not forgetting talents too.
Living in the slum is not bad. People might think that it's so miserable, but this is like its own country. It's like we are in a different world, a world full of happiness, a world full of unity, a world full of love, a world full of togetherness and hard work.
The people in this room represents leadership in a number of places. When you look at them, what message do you have for them?
Life is not about who you are, but what you think you are made of. If you believe you are made of greatness, then that means that you can be able to achieve every goal you set ahead of you. And this goes to all women in this room, that we all have to speak out for our rights, stand up for what you believe in, and through that we can be able to change our own communities and make them a better place.
Talk of one single muddy room in Kibera that was hosting a whole family, a house that the floor was muddy, which was used as a bedroom, sitting room, and kitchen at the same time.
So I lived in a 1-room home. So my elder sister was taken up country because my parents couldn't really afford to have all of us in the slum together. So my elder sister went to stay with my grandma, and then so we remained. This was even before my younger sister was born. So we remained, me, my older brother, and my parents. So we stayed in this 1-room home. So we had our kitchen, our bedroom, and everything into it. And it wasn't really, I wouldn't call it a home, but to us it felt like a home because it was kind of bending. The floor was muddy. I don't know how to explain it, but it was, yeah. It's one of those slanting homes that's like muddy on the floor, like the floor, the ground is muddy, and then both the walls are also mud. So yeah, that was my home growing up. And then also living in Kibera, there's a lot of congestion, and most of the time we have to share stuff. And that's something that I've always learned since I was young. So things like the washroom, we have to share like 20 people. And at the end of the day, the toilet is so messed up that you don't feel like using it, but you just have to use it because it's part of your community. You've grown up in a messy, dirty environment that you have to get used to it every day. That you don't even see when you go somewhere, you don't see something is a mess or something, because that's the reality. You've seen that every day in your life, that you don't see something bad.
Having a meal as a family was like a luxury, which they never took it for granted. But as it is ideal for every parent, providing for the family was their responsibility, despite the struggles. This gave Eunice a burden to work hard in order to bring change in the same community someday. Poverty is one of the barriers in any individual's life, and for sure, Eunice was not an exception.
My parents had jobs of hand to mouth, and so most of the time they will get just like 20 shillings and they will buy food, and that 20 shillings will keep us going the whole day. So they'll sometimes we'll make black tea, like the kawaida chai that every Kenyan person has. So we'll make chai, and then we'll try to keep that chai keeping us going throughout the day for us to continue moving.
Kwa jina naitwa Doris Auma Ochieng. Maisha ile tumepitia hapa Kibera ni kufanya tu kibarua. Unaitwa tu mahali unaenda unafualia mtu, ukirudi ndio unapata ile watoto watakula kwa nyumba. Na saa zingine ufulie mtu, ukimaliza kufua ukienda kuitisha pesa na kuambia mama umefua manguo chafu. Sasa hizo mateso zote tumejaribu kupitia na watoto wetu.
Yeah, and ever since then, I'm always trying to work hard because of my parents. Like, I've seen what they have done, I've seen what they've passed through to make sure that we are able to continue with life and to be able to eat every day, and that truly motivates me every day.
Her education was greatly affected by the financial status of the family, but all this was to come to an end at one point.
I never got the opportunity to get good quality of education because my parents both didn't have a good job, and so, as I said before, taking us all to school was a hard job for them, so they either had to choose. And before, we all knew that they said boys were well. I feel like they all thought that men would be well educated and they will come back help them, but that didn't really happen. So my parents opted to take my brother to school rather than taking me to school. So even though I was still young, so they decided to take my brother to school and I stayed at home. And so that's one of the biggest reasons why I never got to go to school, because they didn't really have the money to take me to school. And so as time went by, my mom heard about Shining Off for Communities as it was beginning, and she had a Kibera School for Girls, and so they were doing interviews.
Na hapa Kibera kuna wakati watoto walikuwa wanachukuliwa Sofco, na mtoto yangu alikuwa anasoma St. Luanga. Nikamtoa akakuja kufanya mtihani akapita. Nikaona kama Jess na Ken walifurahi, wakasema wa tumeangukia msichana mwerevu. Nikaona msichana wangu sasa alikuwa amependwa sana na hao watu. Nikaona msichana sasa ako standard, naona tu anaitwa anaenda anafanya point. Hata nikienda kwa video namuona tu mtoto akaenda na anakuambia kwa jina anaitwa Eunice Akoth, niko standard tu. Na anapoenda anakuongeleza hizo nini zake zote. Sasa alikuwa anafurahianga nikiona yeye kwa dini nafurahi sana.
Kibera School for Girls began in the year 2009, and as I was part of the first class that joined it, so I did an interview and then passed, and then I joined it. So I began Kibera School for Girls from grade 1, and so I think we repeated grade 1 twice because there was no other room, so it was also small. Like, we used to do it in these small rooms, and this building was not there, like these big buildings were not there, so we had like these rooms we had to share with grade 1s and 2s, so it was like that small school. So I joined Kibera School for Girls, and ever since, yeah, I graduated in 2017, yeah. At Kibera School for Girls, I was catered for everything, anything I wanted, from uniform to food to education, it was everything. Anything I ever needed was given. Any opportunity I wanted, I grabbed it. Like, any opportunity that came my way, I grabbed it because I had that opportunity. But back home, life was still the same. We'll still sleep hungry. We'll still go without food. My mom will still have to go do some shoddy jobs to get money. Like, it was crazy. Like, at school, I will live that humble, comfortable life that I've dreamt of always. But at home, I'll still go back to, like, mom doesn't have money, so we have to sleep hungry, you know. So it was continuous. Like, as time went on, I'll sometimes come to school and then come with another lunchbox so that I could put food in, so that when I go home, I know I have food, you know.
With the kind of child she was in school, she ended up getting presentation opportunities which saw her performing even outside school, and indeed, the work of her hands became blessed. The greatest blessing being to go abroad for a presentation. What a blessing! This was the beginning of another journey, visiting the United States of America for the very first time.
So I began poetry as a young, I think I was so young, like I began doing poetry so young, and my teachers love me because I will say those poems as if I was living them. Like I was in the shoes of those words I was speaking that came out of my mouth. So I began poetry so long ago, and then that led me to do music festivals, and every year I'll do music festivals, most especially in English, because I was really good. They say I was really good in English and expressing myself in that way. So the words that I spoke, they meant something to me and I felt them. So I was living the words I was speaking. And so that's how I began doing poetry. And in 2014, I did music festivals. So I did a poem called My Dream. And then this poem talks about my life as a girl growing up in the biggest slum in Africa right now, and my challenges as a girl, and what I went through, and what I'm looking forward to, and what is my advice to the people living outside there. So it was like, yeah. So after I did this poem, so here at Chefco, so many visitors come to visit and see what Kennedy Odede, a person who grew up in the slum, he's doing for his community. So as they come, I will present for them because we have to entertain them. So I'll have to present to them my poem, my dream, what my dream is. So every now and then I'll present this poem. And then this one time, a group called Apatha Pierce came, and so they were doing a documentary on Kennedy about what Chefco is and what it has done. And I was featured on that documentary. And then a news anchor, her name is Tina Brown. She has her own show in the US, and so she does. I think she's the CEO of some Women of something summit, Women in the World Summit. And so she invited me to be one of the speakers as a girl living in the slums. What is my story? What can I tell the rest of the people out there? So I was invited in 2015. I traveled to the US for the first time. Most of the time we'll always see white people coming to visit us. And I always tell my mom, today there's a white person who came. She came from this place and this place, or this guy came from this place and this place, and one day, ma'am, I want to travel to the US and all that stuff. So every now and then I keep on repeating the same words to my mom, that one day, ma'am, mi nitapanda ndege niende US. One day, one time. So when I was told the news, I didn't really believe it. I was like, they're just joking around. This is not real. So I was like, okay, because for you to travel, you have to have a passport and a visa. So none of that was already done for me. So I was like, it's not happening. This is not real. And then a week later, we have now making me. When I realized it was real is when we had to go look for my passport and my visa. So I was always up and down. I would miss classes because I was going to look for my passport and visa and all that stuff. So that's when I realized, oh my God, this is really real. The day I received the news, I went home and hugged my mom. I was like, Mom, nilikwambia nitapanda ndege, nimeambiwa leo nitapanda ndege, lakini sijui kama ni ukweli, but let me confirm, I'll come and tell you. So when my mom was also included in this passport, when we were finding our passport thing, is when she also felt like, oh my God, my daughter is going to travel to the US. I was like, wow, Mom, we've made it. And this is just the beginning of our journey. So I was the most happy. I don't even know how to express how I felt, but I was so happy. Like, I've done something that I've always dreamt of. And it was the most amazing feeling that I've ever had before, yeah. During that time period, I visited schools. And one of the schools that I visited was called Miss Potter School, which is in Farmington, Connecticut. It's a girls' school, and I fell in love with it. I loved it so much. And I was like, if God gives me the chance, I would love to come and study here. So the following year, 2016, I got the opportunity to go do a summer camp there. It was a leadership camp. So I studied 3 weeks of leadership, and it was an amazing experience. I felt home. I felt a sense of community that I feel back in Kibera. And I was like, this is the place I want to be. God, I asked you last year for me to come back here, and you've given me this opportunity. Can you please give me the same opportunity to me for me to come and study here for my high school?
From the slums to rubbing shoulders with prominent people in the society. For example, the late Bob Collymore.
So after my summer camp in 2016, the leadership camp, I met Bob Collymore, and ever since then we became friends, and he invited me to do the sustainability goals for Safaricom.
Tell us a little bit about what the Sustainable Development Goals mean for you.
Through these sustainability goals, it will give me a chance for me to speak out for my own community, for the people living in my own community, and through this sustainability goal, we'll be able to impact different things in people's lives, and through that we'll be able to make our communities continue growing each and every day.
Mimi sijawahi salamia Bob Collin, lakini mtoto wangu nafikia Bob Collin. Tena anasema my daughter Eunice Akoth. Anakuja kusalamia mtoto wake kwa shule, vitabu anamletea. Ikifika birthday yake, Bob Collin analeta analeta keki yake. Kuna siku keki ilikutana ya Safaricom na ya Kiwi na Bob Collin. Watoto walifurahi. Paka nastukia watoto wamekuja wengi paka kwa nyumba wakisema, "Hey, Mama Eunice, leo tumekutembelea." Na kila mtu amebeba box. Nasema ni nini? Ati sili hukujua kama leo ni birthday ya msichana wako. Watoto walifurahi sana.
Eunice never stopped dreaming, and indeed her dream of joining a school of her choice in the US turned out to be true. Being a slum girl, she has vowed to give back to the community by engaging her peers during her holidays.
So in 2017, I wasn't able to go for the summer camp because I was doing my KCPE. And then after my KCPE, I passed. I got 380 marks out of 500. It was a good job. I felt like I had done a good job, even though it wasn't good for me. I wanted to get over 400 marks, but I got 380. But it was still a good job for me, and I was proud of myself. So the same year, I got a letter from Miss Potter School telling me that I can be part of Miss Potter School if I apply for the scholarship. And through God's luck, I was able to get into Miss Potter's, and so I began my first year last year, 2018, in August. So I began school in August, and then I ended in May. Yes, I ended school in May. So I finished my first year in the US as a high schooler, and so now I'm going into my second year of high school. So I've never been off like my family or home for such a long time. The longest I've been home was like 2 months, 3 months, then I'll be back home. But this time I was almost home. I was away from home for almost 9 months, and which was so long for me. For the first time, I felt so homesick because I was out of the country. It was so much. I missed Kenyan food. I missed a lot of stuff. But being there, I knew what I wanted. I knew where I came from, and that didn't really stop me. As you can see, I'm a living reality of what a girl with full potential can do if given the right opportunities out there. So I'm urging all girls, if I can do it, if I was brought and born in the slum, and I can still do it, I can still make it, then what about you? All you need in life is determination and perseverance, because through two of these things, you'll be able to make it in life. You just have to be determined, work hard always. If I was able to make it, you can make it, because the slum is my identity, but not my destiny. I was born in the slums, but that does not determine where I'm going to be. So let's let the circumstances that we live today not define our future.
What do you see the world looking like when you're 27? What do you hope the world would look like? And what do you think it's actually going to look like?
It will be a free, corrupt world. It will be a free FGM world. A world of women leaders. A world of women who have made it in life. A world full of girl power. A world of women leaders. And a world of girls who have achieved it and made it in life.
Eunice's mother could not hide her joy, having gone through poverty for many years. This too encouraged her to fully support the daughter, because she knew and comprehended well what life in the slums is all about.
Watoto wetu wote wameishi Kibera, naye ni estate, naye sio mzuri kulingana na watoto. Hata mimi naomba Mungu sana, amenisaidia. Mtoto amepiga step, ameenda mbali na hapa kwa kijiji. Juu hapa kwa kijiji watoto waendi mbele. Mtoto akifika standard 6, watoto wengine wameanza kumfungia kwa njiani. Kama sasa huyu Eunice bila alikuwa anaonekana kwa Kiwi. Ikifika mtoto ananiambia, mama niko na stress. Ikifika jioni nikitoka shule watu wananigojea kwa njia. Ati mama ondeni mtoto wa Kiwi. Ngoni sasa mtoto alikuwa na stress nyingi sana, lakini baadaye vile alirudi akakaa kwa boarding, hiyo stress ilirudi ikapunguka. Lakini nimefurahia kwa wazazi. Naomba Mungu awapangie hata hao yao ifunguliwe njia iwe kama hii yangu ya Eunice.
Her mentors too were not left out in the life of Eunice Akoth. Julia Alubala is one lady who is very proud on Eunice's progress since she has been working with her from her childhood, and this has encouraged Julia to motivate more children hailing from the slums, hence her calling.
My name is Julia Alubala, and I'm a teacher at the Kibera School for Girls. I've been Eunice teacher since the year 2009. So currently I hold a new position. I'm the head of curriculum for all Shofka schools. Eunice has been a good girl in the school. I met Eunice way back in 2009. She came in at 4-year-olds, and I remember teaching her at the kindergarten. She was so passionate about learning, and with the interactions we had, I noticed there was some potential in her, both academically, and she was also talented musically. She participated in several festivals, that is the music festival. And I remember there was a year, that was in 2016, she won a national award in public speaking. And then the year 2017, she also won another award in poetry. It was a solo class, 1016H. I have been working in Kibera for the last 10 years. So come August 22nd this year, I'll be 10 years old in this school. I remember when I came in for an interview, there's an interview that I'd taken, but I was so much passionate with having this job here in Kibera. The other school was in Langata, and it was an international school, but I didn't want to go there. I said there's something that I'm seeing in Kibera that I really wanted to come and change or do here in Kibera. So I took the job, and ever since I've been working here. So one thing that has been driving me or motivating me come to work here is the girls. So the girls come from needy backgrounds, and they come with different stories. I happen to be one of the teachers who do the intake, and during their interviews, during the intake, I hear of so many touching stories. And I believe that I'm one person that I should actually come and change their lives. Their stories are very vulnerable, and that vulnerability makes me come to school each and every day. My aim and objective is to see them achieve their dreams and just become whoever they want in future.
In conclusion, we dedicate this story to all children hailing from the slums. Never look down upon yourself, for there is great potential in you. What you just need is to explore it right where you are. What are you good in? Is it poetry? Is it singing? Is it public speaking or debates? Come on, bring it out, for you never know. Kama Eunice ametoboa maisha ya mtaa, je wewe?